So,
Yep.
even if you don't consider yourself to be a medium, it's, what you're seeing is valid, whatever it is, right? So, but like, talk to me, because like, we've all kind of had these like weird experiences. So like, when you say you see something, how would you define what you're seeing, or how you experienced it? Like, what you would experience?
There have been so many different things. So I got to try to pick like, what's the best one, I guess. I don't
Nursing
know.
home.
What?
Nursing
Oh,
home.
something that happened more recently. That was freaky. So
Well,
for my job,
yeah.
go ahead.
No,
for
go
my
for
job,
it.
I run a daycare. So every year for our community for Christmas, I have the kids make hundreds of Christmas cards, and we go and we deliver Christmas cards to all of the nursing homes in the area. And so,
oh, that's nice.
So we were dropping off at one of the
Mhm.
nursing homes, and it was like it was getting late. It was in the evening, and
Giant bay window.
yeah, huge bay window in the front where you could see the sitting area and the TV. And I went in, and there was an old man and an old woman sitting at the couch watching TV together, and then there was an old like farmer looking dude sitting in a dining room on the only chair that was down. The rest were all stacked, and he was in the corner, which was kind of creepy, but I think he was real.
But I think he was real. Yeah, it's hard to know.
So I brought the stack of cards, and I gave it to a worker that was in the kitchen. When I went to walk back to leave, the old lady that was sitting on the couch next to the old man like said something to me, and I couldn't quite hear her, but I smiled and waved, and then I kept walking. And then when I got out to the truck, I was like, "Oh, they were cute." And he's like, "What do you mean they?" And like there was no old woman. He was looking in the window, sitting in the truck, watching me, and he said there was only an old man on the couch, no old woman. And I was like, "Nuh-uh, turn around. I gotta go back to what I can see."
There's a woman there too. What do you like? I love that though. But very interesting though that you saw her while you were in there, and that you didn't like, even though you
I
do
thought
have
it was real.
And I was parked where I could see the sitting room the whole entire time.
Like he was parked in front of the bay window.
I thought you were talking to the old guy.
That's one of those things.
I was like, I couldn't hear you, but hi. That's weird.
No, but I really like, it's a fascinating thing to think about. Like, so, okay, how many people do you pass in the street or just in regular life that you don't pay attention to, that like maybe they're not actually there? Those ones that you're seeing, like maybe they're on another plane of existence and you just think that they're real and you don't realize. Like, that is so... What's up there? Hey friends, how you doing? I know Vicky's here. I saw her up in the comments too. Thanks for jumping in, y'all, and joining us. We love having you here. And tell us in the comments if you've had similar experiences, because I love hearing it from everybody. But that's such an interesting thing to think about, though. How often are you interacting with a ghost or a whatever, whatever other version of not this dimension that we're used to, that they just pop in and out?
I wasn't expecting it, because every time I've seen them before, they're transparent, or there's only half of them from the waist down's not showing. Things like that. So I know they're a ghost. This lady was like full, like solid. I thought, swear to God, it was his wife.
Like it's just a person there.
Next to him on the couch.
It could have very well been his wife.
I'm guessing, but I had no...
Well, yeah, you're not wrong about that part. It's just the part of where she was actually, where she was there. I mean, but
She's
that's kind of
no longer flesh and bone.
Well, whatever, but I did not even suspect that she would be a spirit until he's like, "Who are you talking about? There was only the old man." I'm like, turn around. I want to go look again.
I love that. What's up? How you doing there? But I'm so glad peeps are coming in. And like, seriously though, tell me about more of these situations, because that super fascinates me. Now I'm going to be looking at people in the elevator and be like, are you a ghost, or are you... You're gonna have to be like poking people. Yeah, right. Like start poking people a little bit. Just be like, sorry, I'm just checking to make sure you're not a ghost. Like, because that wouldn't be a weird thing for all of us to start doing. Like, hey, Parapost fam, y'all want to just start walking up to folks and just being like, sorry, I just have to make sure that you're actually on my timeline and real.
For a second.
I love it. Like, listen. If we all wear the t-shirts, so everybody knows that we're the Global Ghost Hunt fam, like it'd be a great way to get some publicity, Brian John. Like, I'm just saying, like, run around and just...
wore my t-shirt yesterday. Whoops.
No, like, I think that would be hilarious. That would be great. Okay, well, like, let's jump in. Like, I really do love this. So, but if you have more stories pop into your head from the childhood times, like, do let me know. But let's jump into So you talked about the Broadhand Manor was one of the investigations that you did that we were talking about beforehand.
Yep.
Talk to me a little bit about it, because I think this is maybe an interesting angle when it comes to just paranormal investigations in general, right? Like, what are some of maybe the challenges that you run into? And one of them might be that you get a place that's maybe not as active as you want it to be.
So online, there was a lot of people, or like mainly the owner, who's super nice, and some other teams that had investigated there that had all had great experiences. And when we got there, he had great stories about previous investigations that they had done there, and we were really excited. But then we ended up getting almost nothing, and so that's kind of sad. But it was also extremely cold.
Yeah, I would say one of the most difficult things to deal with is cold when you're trying to do an investigation.
Trying to focus a little bit on whether or not you hear things and not whether or not your insides are still like at a normal temperature to be breathing.
It was we weren't expecting it to be as cold as it was, and literally I had to go ask him if he had any blankets because I was freezing to death.
Well, because you do just have to sit there and wait for things to happen, right? And if you're moving around too much, you'll make noise. But that's another, and we talked about this a little bit too. We were talking just before we started, the idea of when you're recording and you might get some kind of like EVP, for example, or if you're doing like a spirit box session that you might talk over a response or something like that. I mean, that is something that's just going to happen, right? Like, I mean, those things just happen. And maybe that's just like, it's kind of the bloopers reel, if you will, right? Like, what are some, do you know what I'm saying? Like, what are some of the bloopers reel things that you run into in the paranormal investigation times? Just because if, for example, if people are watching and thinking, I would love to do a paranormal investigation, I'd love to go join Global Ghost Hunt, but like, what if I don't get activity and that's like a dud? Or like, what if I have that like mess up thing happen and we are talking over something, or what? Like, there's maybe some people have that sort of like, I don't want to go do it because I have a fear of judgment of my output or what comes out of the experience, right? But so if you were going to talk to people who were thinking about doing it but might have that hesitation, right? Like, what kind of blooper things could you tell them to just be like, it happens to all of us, we all do it? And in the comments too, you guys, like, what are the like, hey, don't be afraid of it, go do it anyway.
Biggest thing is every team makes mistakes.
Yep.
No matter what team you are,
but
you make mistakes.
I would have to say, input wise on that, is I have horrible social anxiety. I hate being on camera. I don't like people most of the time. And so when we first joined the team,
well, then thank you for being here. I appreciate you liking us enough to come hang out with us. I mean, listen, Global Ghost Hunt Parapost fam, we're welcoming. Come in and hang out with us.
No, I don't mean you guys.
I know.
I mean, like,
we know you know.
In general. So it's kind of scary when you think about going in front of a bunch of people and speaking out loud and asking questions and thinking they could be judging you. They could be, social anxiety in your head. So a lot of people I have heard say that they're just too nervous to actually interact. So they don't think they'd join a team because of that. So one of the things that helped me get over that was practicing more so by myself and with my husband, and just getting used to asking those questions out loud without feeling embarrassed or feeling somebody's going to think something,
Well, and to go with someone that who's interested, and just go somewhere, and you don't even necessarily have to, record it to put it out there. Like you're saying, just do it to try it out.
Yep.
Yeah, practicing getting the hang of asking a question, waiting so long, seeing,
like when I was a teenager, I never like recorded or anything like that, but I would go and hang out with friends, and we would just go and investigate places that we thought were creepy. And sometimes they'd be haunted, and sometimes they wouldn't be.
Because I was gonna say, because it's the coolest thing to do when you're a teenager. Like, hey, that place is creepy. Let's go there. It's like, you're not supposed to go there, so let's go see it. Like, see what happens.
Yeah.
But that's part of the excitement, right? Like, you get to, and we've talked about this with other teams and stuff before, that it is a lot, the community aspect of it that makes it really fun. And like, you can find a very welcoming space, right, where you can go and hang out and do these playful things with your friends, and maybe find some like really wild, weird stuff that is outside of your everyday experience that is super fun. What I remember being at a park with my son, and I had a little girl sit beside me, and she was dirty and her dress was torn. I thought she was real, but she was murdered and found buried in the park. That's pretty intense.
Oh, thing.
Wow.
That's wild. But again, that's those things where you can see a really very solid, like, how often do you maybe interact with what is a ghost and you just don't know because they're
Now
that
I have the
solid.
questions of if she kept talking to the child and like.
Yeah, tell me more.
Yeah. Well, did you keep talking to her? Did she say that is pretty well? That is wild. I'm just going to question now every like slightly weird interaction that I have with anyone and just be like, are you a real person or did I just, what just happened there?
Here's an interesting thing to think about for future, if you guys, for future podcast, the question you could ask is about imaginary friends when you're a child, which are they imaginary or are they ghosts?
No, they're not imaginary.
I know for a fact they're not imaginary because I found the grave of my imaginary friend when I was an adult.
Shh. Shut up. But don't shut up. Tell me all about it. What? Yeah, the shadow figure in the Abbey, Chris. Yes, you sent me pictures of that too, the little girl in the Abbey. But like, say what? Your imaginary friend, you found their grave later? I have to know, like, why is that not a movie that you've written? That's brilliant.
Because nobody cares about that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, I do. I want to write that movie. Are you like in the comments, people? Can we vote just a little bit here? Like, yes, I want to like watch that movie. Are you kidding? Oh, that's amazing. Tell me about it.
So my family bought this piece of land that used to be the original town of Bradford, Minnesota, before it was moved. So Bradford, Minnesota.
It was hit by tuberculosis.
Yes, it was hit by tuberculosis, I don't know if it was tuberculosis, some type of
this
plague
is
or
so like my neck of the woods history stuff. I love it already. Oh, what? I love it. Okay.
Once most of the people passed away and there was barely anybody left, they packed up what they had left on their wagons and they moved a couple miles away and started the new town of what is now Bradford.
Mm-hmm.
So the old Bradford was the property that my grandparents purchased. And when they lived there, the old post office was still there. Part of the mill building was still there. The old stagecoach road was still there. And would have been the governor's mansion, but they turned it into the hospital during tuberculosis was still there.
Yeah, that's so rad.
So when I was a kid,
mean, obviously not rad that everybody died of tuberculosis. That's not what that's not where I'm going for it. But like, so they just basically bought a little town that's just full on got a post office and I love that. That's amazing.
So our driveway was what used to be Main Street.
So great.
And when I was a kid,
Main Street. I love it.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I used to play in what was left of the post office as like a little playhouse.
I want your childhood. Like, that's amazing.
We used to walk down the old stagecoach road that led into the woods behind the house and only go so far before the woods kind of overtake it. But we found an upside down buried halfway, so like half of the wagon wheel was showing, but the rest was underground because it was buried on the stagecoach when I was a kid. So that was something cool we used to go check out. But yeah, so when I was 3, my mom had pulled a trailer onto the property because the house had burnt down years before.
Mm-hmm.
And so we lived there. She said I would be talking to this whoever so much so that if she could hear the other side of the conversation, it would make complete sense. And it freaked her out. So she'd always say, go outside and play. Just go. You're freaking me out. So I'd go outside.
Freaking me out. Go outside and play. Go be alone by yourself with your weirdness. I can't deal with it. Great. Thanks, Mom. That's real nice.
So I had a really a 3-year-old list. Basically, I couldn't pronounce the letter F. I always said v like a V instead of an F sound. And so my imaginary friend's name was Farilla. I couldn't say V. I said it as an F or something.
Okay, Farilla, right.
You couldn't pronounce an F, so it was Varilla.
No, I called her Farilla. That was what I called her when I was a kid. But her name was Varilla because I couldn't say V. My maiden last name is VIney, and I always said Finey.
Well, you are Finey. So
you know what I mean.
You're totally fine. So that's appropriate, miss. You were doing it correct as a kid. They corrected you wrong.
Sorry. Anyways,
No.
so I called her Farilla, and my parents always gave me crap about it. And so when I grew up, we go and actually visit the little cemetery down the street.
My mom.
We go and visit the little cemetery down the street from there, and I looked up some of the history, and it said that some of the people were buried at that little cemetery. It's tiny.
Yeah.
And then some of them, if they were Catholic, were brought over to a different cemetery, which is in North Branch in Minnesota. So we didn't find her in the little one. So we actually one day decided, when my oldest is now 16, she was like a baby at the time. We decided to drive over there and like search through the old plots in the Catholic cemetery there in North Branch, and we found her. She was 4 years old when she died, and her name was Varilla with a V.
That is amazing, and it's right there in the town. And then we've got more on the little girl at the park. She didn't talk. She was just staring at me, and I turned and looked at my son, and when I turned to look at her again, she disappeared. My neighbor told me her story. She was a missing child. Wow. That is, I mean, that's an interesting thing to think about too. Like, have you ever seen a kid that you thought looked like they were unattended, and maybe that was a ghost kid and not an unattended kid? I mean, again, thank you very much, because you know what? I really enjoy questioning my reality and what things are real or not real. So I love to have more reasons to do that all day long. I'm glad we got onto that conversation. I love it. That's amazing. And I do love that too. So your imaginary friends as kids, like, and also people in the comments, did you also have imaginary friends that people said weren't real and you knew were? Because that's so fascinating to me. But you don't actually remember, like, from when you were a kid talking to. Okay.
Nope. I just, from my parents and my family telling me stories, that I had a friend named Farilla. I remember when I was like as early as 5 or 6 getting teased about it, and me going, I don't remember that.
Well, but that's interesting that you did it often enough that like they all knew about it, right?
Yep.
So you were consistent enough in whatever this communication was. But see, this is again the thing that I'd say, we're all born with these abilities, like, again, kids with imaginary friends, but they're really seeing things that we just don't see or don't notice, right? It's fascinating to me. My latest one from Chris: walking through the hospital, was following a nurse. She looked back at me, then turned a corner and disappeared. I'm so jealous sauce of all of it. It's just wild. Now I have to be like, I need to pay attention to my right now present moment more often, because how often am I missing ghosts that are walking by? Hot dang, I tell you what.
No, we got another really good one.
Which one?
Oh, tell me.
Oh, I've got so many.
I've got so many.
Yeah,
there's that one too.
So that I was gonna say, because you were talking about
hospital.
So from my experience, you can catch more activity in a hospital that's still operating than you can in an abandoned building most of the time, because you have fresh spirits that just passed away that haven't moved on yet. So I was approached at the hospital in the cities, 3 or 4 years ago, when his dad passed away.
2021.
Yeah, we were in the emergency room because he had been phoned down from Grantsburg, and we didn't know what was going to happen yet, if he was going to pass or not. And so I had to go to the bathroom really bad, and all the families in the ER waiting room crying and stuff. And so I ran to the bathroom, and I go into the stall, and I sit down, and I lock the door. It's one of those turn locks, right? So I twisted it shut, and I sit down to go to the bathroom, and the door twists open, or like unlocks and opens. And I was like, I'm in here. And I shut the door, and then I relocked it. And as I'm relocking it, I'm like thinking, it only locks from the inside.
Who did that? Great.
Nobody else was in there. So I was like, I don't have time for this. There was a lot going on that night. So I hurried up, got out, went to go wash my hands. I'm washing my hands as fast as I can, trying to ignore what I can feel is there. And then they have the paper towel,
get out.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's yeah. I haven't seen those in forever.
And I didn't even get to turn towards it, and all the fabric thing started going like this. And I'm like, nope. And I walked out the door.
Bouncing, y'all. Like, listen, don't interrupt my private time in the bathroom, okay? Like, that freaks me out. Then I'm gonna freak out. Yeah, Brian John. They should all imagine taking me on an investigation. I would be the loudest, craziest thing ever, Sauce. And like you wouldn't catch any EVPs. I'd be too excited about everything. You know that's how it would go. We all know that's how it would go. I love it. I just, it seems like you just attract paranormal activity. It's like you just have it around you all the time.
You also heard my dad's voice after he had passed too.
Yeah, well, I was doing a SB. Sorry.
Estes method.
Estes, thank you.
The Estes
with
method,
the headphones.
okay. Yeah, with the headphones.
Spirit in the house that was not being nice, and it like flipped one of the kids' tablet off of the island.
Yeah,
and
I think it's still around, but it doesn't come out very often.
Yeah, it wasn't being nice. So I kind of, was not in the best place because my dad had just passed and everything.
Yeah,
so, I'm sat there and I looked at the room and I'm like, you know what?
He got
I'm done.
And started yelling at it.
If you're gonna knock shit down, you need to leave.
He got angry and started yelling at it.
Like,
well, it was the first time. So you've got this big tablet with a rubber case on it on a countertop. There's no way for it to slide because it grips, right?
And it was like a foot and a half from the edge.
From the edge, and this whoever it is that keeps messing around, like flips it off the counter, like in the air, flips it off the counter, and then the same whoever it is or whatever it is had been not like a cat almost, but like stronger, knocking controllers down off of the top of the fireplace, knocking our phones off of like any electronics, like small electronics. This
is a whole thing that I think is fascinating though, because like this is a whole conversation we can get into again about like energy and how it can like don't be sorry, I'm excited about it, but I know Brian John wants to show us a little commercial just for a hot second, so we're gonna take a little break, y'all, and come right back and talk my favorite energy stuff. Welcome back, y'all. All right, listen, I am seeing some stuff in the comments too that's exciting. Loving the story that Vicky is telling about being at the hospital with her grandson was passing, husband was going downstairs by an elevator. Son came up and was talking to us about removing light support. A guy walked around the corner I thought looked like my brother who had passed. The elevator opens, gets on, the door closes. We run over, hit the button, door opens back up. Nobody on the elevator. What?
That's cool.
I love that so much. That is super. Again, yes, you would absolutely. And I saw in the other. And shout out, yes, to Matt and to all of our folks who are, and like Brian John's got just such a great team of people putting these things together. I love our promo too. It's so much fun. I do enjoy it. And I have to like also say it, I think it was Rootless Destinations up there. I think you said you would have to gag me at a paranormal investigation. You are correct, because I would talk over everything and you would get no EVP. I would just be too excited about life. That's what it is. But okay, the iPad and the electronics and the things that you're saying were like being flipped around at your house, right? This is the thing that I think is really interesting. Like the idea that maybe whatever is interacting with it, right? Like you have a ghost say that's like doesn't know what that stuff is, right? Like that's not of my timeline. What is this like? Because if you think about what an iPad looks like to somebody that is from, say, even like the 1960s, they would look at that and that would be magic.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's interesting to me when you have those kind of interactions with electronics, because you have to kind of wonder, like, is there a curiosity factor? And then with the, like, because you talk about like ghosts and spirits and being able to interact with things takes energy. Like that takes a lot of energy to flip an iPad off a counter.
Well, I finally saw him.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, one time. So he seems. That's why I think it's a guy, anyways. Because I was like asleep, and Brandon's phone was on the plugged into the charger and sitting on the window, and it was really flat. It wasn't hanging over the edge or nothing. And his alarm went off, and it was a weekend, and I was like half asleep. God dang it! Why is this stupid alarm off? Why do you need,
Yeah.
in my head? As soon as I open my eyes, it's the guy standing like I'm here, and he's like 2 feet away from me, 3 feet away from me, right in front of me, standing next to the window. And I watch him grab the phone and chuck it on the ground, and like the charger pulled out of it. And then I'm like started elbowing Brandon. I'm like, dude.
Hi, excuse me. Hello. The person pulling stuff and moving it around.
So we pick up his phone and the charger, and the guy had chucked it so hard that the metal piece that goes in your phone, the charger port, was bent and broke sideways.
It was literally bent at like a 3 angle.
That's pretty. I mean, so the question is then, was the ghost just like feeling you're being annoyed at the alarm and was like, I'll help you, I will smash it. Like, I'll get rid of this thing.
We think we have worked out what was the issue with that is we think that he does not like loud noises.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's a lot of stories we could get into it, how we came to that, but I don't want to waste your time. But yeah, no.
Well, no, but I mean, that's interesting though, because like the electronics do make noises, or like the controllers presumably like control the volume.
Which really sucks for him because we have 6 children.
Yep.
So quiet time is not such a thing in your house.
Yeah, and I run a full-time daycare in the basement, so.
Guess what? So sorry for you. You just like, I don't know, maybe you need to go find a farmhouse elsewhere and like just beat it, dude. Like, sorry. We're loud sauce in this house. Nothing you can do about it.
Yep.
So
he's either learned to deal with it or he's moved to a different place.
He stopped messing with stuff now.
I give up.
You know the picture of the Hat Man?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, he had that hat on, and it was just a dark shadow figure. I couldn't see facial features or nothing, but it was like solid black figure of a guy that looked like he had that hat on and like a trench coat, and grabbed the phone and ripped it out and didn't rip it out, grabbed the phone and like went like this.
That is an interesting thing to me too. Just like those sort of phenomena like that, like the Hat Man, right? Like just a reoccurring sort of. what would you even call that? And maybe folks in the comments, like, I'm not sure what terminology you would necessarily use for those, but even like shadow people, right? Like how that sort of just solid silhouette look, right? Like use a dog whistle. For me, like, oh my god, that's not gonna what? I don't know what he was. Sorry, we lost ADHD. Couldn't keep track of what you're going for there, Chris. Sorry about that. We'll get to it if we remember.
I think he's going for the spirit because he doesn't like loud noises.
Oh, use a dog whistle. Well, sure.
I think he's thinking, being that he's on the other side of the veil, it might have a different.
I mean, that's a whole other thought process. No, that's interesting though. Like that's a whole other interesting like energy. How does it process? We got the old lady spirit from the early 1900s in my apartment always says on my spirit box, devil's work, and will mess with my camera. She knocked it over once. Excuse me, that's expensive, miss. Can we not? Like, hello. That's a question I had, like, just for a little bit, again, a little bit on the fun side. Talk to me a little bit about that. I know the spirit box bothers some live people. Always wondered if it bothered spirits. This is very true. The spirit box can be jarring, right? But that's why I like the Estes method. And talk to me maybe a little bit about that if you want to. Like, jump into that. Some of your favorite toys that you use or methods that you use when you're doing your investigations and why you prefer those.
We do the Estes method quite a bit, at least recently, and then we do dowsing rods is pretty fun.
I do all the camera work.
Stand behind the camera and just wait to capture all the fun.
He's really good at asking questions. So like if we run out of questions, he's got more.
The reason why I like doing the camera is I get to see everything that goes bump in the dark behind them.
Oh, well, see, now that's a fun reason to do it. And if you haven't joined the Global Ghost Hunt, y'all, there's one reason. Go be a camera person for it and just wait and watch. You can just be waiting for all the crazy, silly things to happen that you get to see that everybody else, and you can just snicker quietly while they don't notice it, right? And then, hey, y'all, maybe check your six.
Yep. I wish we had the clip of that I was telling you about before. I was switching rooms. It was during the Global Ghost Hunt at the Boyd House. And bringing the camera from one, we had 2 people in one room and 2 people in the other. And I was switching between the 2 just so that it wouldn't get too boring, in case nothing was happening. And we decided to quit on that floor and we were going to move to a different floor. And I'm in here with the one group. And so Brandon and the person he was with started coming into the room with us because we were going to pack up and go to the next floor. And as he's coming in the door, what did they call you?
Moron, I think.
It came through the ghost box calling him what a moron or something like that.
And like,
excuse me,
not even a minute before that, when we were in the room, and I was asking questions with the spirit box going, we had a little girl's voice come through and say, "Leave me alone."
He was trying to, like, right when it happened, he was trying to tell me what he heard from the other room. And as he's talking, it comes through the ghost box and says, "You're a moron" or something like that.
I love it. Like, you're just not picking up all the right stuff. You're not shooting the right things. They're just not approving of it. And you know what? Again, y'all, go ahead and join the Global Ghost Hunt and try it out anyway. Sometimes the ones who are making fun of you are the spirits, but go have your own fun and don't worry about it.
I would rather be at an investigation where ghosts are making fun of you the whole entire time
than getting nothing,
rather than having a time where you have nothing.
Well, maybe that's what you need to do. Just be like, "Hey, ghosts, where are the ones who are like doing the Comedy Central roasts, right? Like, y'all come in here, hang out with us, like tell some jokes. Let's get a little bit of a stand-up situation going on," right? I love it. So tell us a little bit about the Boyd House that you did do as an investigation for your Global Ghost Hunt investigation that you did. So tell us a little bit about the Boyd House.
Well, many of the spirits there have a really good sense of humor. So that's why I was saying that time was really funny. But they've had other moments where they came through and they were really funny. Like they made me lose at a poker game and they laughed at me through the spirit box.
They made you lose at a poker game. Tell me about this.
There are spirits that will play 21 with you.
Yep.
They'll play blackjack. Yes.
So we set up our.
This is the kind of fun spirits that I want to hang out with.
We set up a spirit box and we had everything sitting on the table. We left one spot open, put the EMF facing it. And then I dealt the person in. And so then I would flip the cards up so only whoever was sitting at that chair could see it. And then I'd tell them to talk to the spirit box and say hit or pass. And so like they said they played what?
3 hands, 4 hands,
The
something like
third hand, they stopped responding. But the first 2 they would say hit or pass, which was really cool.
That
And
is
then
so cool.
Yep. And then I was joking around with my own hand when it was my turn to hit or pass. I'm like, I don't know. And so I pretended to show him my cards. And then I'm like, what should I do? And he goes, hit.
No, he said I'd hit.
Oh, he said I'd hit. And so I was like, okay. And I hit, and it was a royal card and totally went way over. And then he like chuckled. Just we heard like, huh, huh.
Nice.
Like, oh, God.
I like neener, I win. It's fun. That's, I suppose if you are on the other side of the veil and you can see all the cards, like that's who you really want to get on your team if you're doing like, because how you gonna prove that I'm cheating at poker if you can't like see my ghost and I can? That's my,
Yep.
my imaginary friend is an adult, tells me what your cards are. Neener.
I need a spirit casino buddy.
A spirit casino buddy. I love this. Like, how do we go looking for them? That is super fun. Oh my, that is great. So, but the Boyd House, tell me about like that location a little bit. Like, I want to say that I've heard of it. Tell me where that is.
It's in Boyd, Minnesota. It's run as an Airbnb. It's really cool. I like it. They have a book with all the different stories from the different teams. They write down what they've experienced when they're there.
Oh,
They
that's
also,
fun.
yeah, they have a history book. It was the one family owned it for generations and generations. So a bunch of those family members actually died in the house.
Well, see, I mean, that's one of those things that I think is interesting about some of those old estates is like you do have like generations of family members who passed in the house because they had it for so long. And I mean, that's another question that I would have too is like, again, like even because with you guys, does a DNA connection in that family connection and having multiple people connected to that same DNA line, having passed in that space, does it strengthen the energy in some way and make it easier for them to communicate? Is there something to that? But then like, again, I love the energy conversations. I do. So like, tell me your thoughts and theories on all of these things. Please do.
I'm not sure. I think that the same way a lot of people think, if they haven't moved on yet, then they're still there. I guess if lots of them are there that haven't moved on, it's going to be stronger because there's more of them, especially because there's children spirits there. And I think children spirits are usually stronger just because they don't realize, so they have more emotion.
And I think that they can actually feed off of each other.
Yeah, possibly.
And, use energy from each other to do different things as well.
I don't know.
I mean, that's kind of a like fun the others sort of idea situation that like as you're doing a paranormal investigation, like there's like the family or there's another team of ghosts that are investigating humans. They're like, look at these silly humans coming up into our space again, what they're doing. Like, oh my God, these guys.
I don't think the dad would like her at the Boyd House.
No, so at the Boyd House, 2 of the 3 times that we were there, there's what we believe, I guess, in our experience, what we believe was the dad was getting very angry with us because we were too loud, and like he was coming through the ghost box screaming at us over and over again, even to the point where his voice sounded demonic and it was gross, just like icky, deep, nasty sounding voice because people weren't shutting up. And then finally when we stopped and most of the guys went to sleep and it was just me and one other woman that was awake, and we were whispering and we were talking about it, and we came to the conclusion through talking to the spirits that he was trying to put his kids to sleep and we were being loud.
Oh, interesting. See, again, like the idea that like he's still existing in his loop or his timeline or however you want to say it. And so like you are now the ghosts in his house that are making too much noise. That is such a fascinating. I think I might like you're saying the Boyd House and Brian John, I don't know if you can bring up like just a picture of the Boyd House, but I want to say that I may have actually been here and not realize. I think I just may have been there on just like a regular daytime sort of tour. Possibly.
It's worth it. It's really pretty.
I was like, yeah, something tells me I might have been there. So tell me a little bit more though, then, just because I love it and I get so excited. Do you, the fact that you both have sort of extended, I would say maybe experiences, right? Or consistent experiences throughout your life with interacting with the paranormal, interacting with spirits, with other energies or entities, right? Do you get any sort of a sense when you go on paranormal investigations then that maybe the energies, the spirits are more willing to interact with you? Because again, you've said you've had very, very different experiences when you have different people
Yep.
along, right? So like
Mm.
talk to us a little bit about this. The maybe like
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Me and her have
no,
talked, and we figured out that if you bring somebody along that's extremely negative,
Yeah, like somebody that's like, oh, ghosts are stupid. That's not real. It's all made up.
more times than not, you're not going to really get anything.
People that don't believe, it's really hard to make them believe. I think or they don't experience things because of their negative attitude, and so they're kind of. I think spirits are more standoffish with them. And for example, this happened at the Boyd House, but it also happened more recently at a different investigation. We had brought somebody along that we didn't really know that much, and they were a complete non-believer.
And they had been to both places.
Absolutely nothing happened the entire time. As soon as they left, within like not even 5 minutes, they pulled out of the parking lot, and we started getting things.
As soon as they're gone. I mean, but that is you. And sometimes I wonder, and talk to me about again, your thoughts on it. I'm sure it's probably some different locations. It depends on where you are, but like some spirits might have that sort of not wanting to scare people, and so they won't interact. Like, you're too scared, I can't interact because it'll freak you out, right? So I back up out of maybe a respectful. But then also you got to think too a little bit the idea of like, well, why do I have to prove myself to you then? Like, why do I want to talk to you if you don't?
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I get, depending on the person. But the vibe that I got from more than one person, but that instance was they had the attitude of, well, just show me that you're real, prove it. Otherwise, there is no such thing as ghosts kind of attitude.
Mhm.
And in my opinion, if I was on the other side and somebody was acting like that towards me, I'd be like, screw you, dude, I'm leaving.
You would, right? Because it is a little bit of like, why do I have to justify myself? So obviously the spirits being comfortable is important, but
yeah.
Do you think at all that you might have like a certain, because you're just open to it, maybe that's why you throughout your life have had maybe more experiences than
a sensitivity, emotional sensitivity. Like the more people that I meet that are sensitive to ghosts are more empathetic. I guess, in my opinion, from what I've met a lot of people, they're more empathetic. Usually, they've been through trauma. Usually, they I don't know. They just have a lot of ADHDers.
Hi, friend. See you. What's up? You want to talk about how we can't? I took my meds. I love it. Good for you. Yay. So good.
But yeah, so I think it's people that have really strong intuition, people that are very open, and both trauma and ADHD help you to hyper focus on everybody's emotions around you and pick out what's wrong. And who's the problem. You're not going to focus on the happy-go-lucky person that's,
you're not worried about them. You're
going to focus on the one that could possibly pose a threat. Somebody that looks irritated, somebody that looks depressed, even somebody that looks off. That's the person you're going to focus on. And so then, because especially if you're an empath, you're going to start to feel that yourself, and that kind of sucks. But I think most of the people that have the sensitivities all have that, or at least some type of form, either ADHD, trauma, or just being an empath.
No, this is, I think they're agreeing in the comments too, but tell us more about that, because I think that is very true, that people who are sensitive to being able to notice these things, you are noticing the energy first, right? Before you see things or hear things or something moves. Ooh.
Very willing to open your eyes.
You can walk up the stairs in an abandoned building and nobody sees or hears anything, but you can feel something. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. I love this Boyd House. I don't think this is the one that I was thinking of that I've been to, but like very like I love the old farmhouse sort of vibe, look, feel, like energy.
There's like 306 people.
Yeah, and they have a super cute cafe. So if you ever guys want to do a weekend investigation, it's the perfect place.
Yes, that would be rad. I love that. Super. Oh, yes, I absolutely would. But I do again, like this is such a fascinating thing to me, and which of course we all know, and I know we're coming up on an hour here, so I want to make sure you guys get to do like shout outs to your team and check out Caught in the Veil Paranormal, y'all. But like tell us, what are you doing? Do you have your location picked out? Do we get to know yet?
I'm not gonna say. I told Brian what we're looking at, but I'm not gonna say it because I don't have it. It's not secure. It's not paid for yet.
Okay.
So because it's a little spendy, and so we're looking for enough people to go, and our team is small. So
Okay.
we have to have enough people to. I'm not gonna pay the full amount to then only have 3 people go. 4 people or 5 people go.
Yeah, for sure.
So if we can find enough people that are interested in going, then we'll drop a deposit and we'll have it. If that makes sense.
It makes sense, and I'm excited to see what it is because I'm excited for all. Like
But it's
I know
huge.
I love old historical buildings too, y'all.
It's huge.
So all kinds of different spaces that you can go exploring and investigating and finding all the good fun stuff.
Yes, it's I'm not gonna say which one, but it is a my brain's not working.
Don't worry, ADHDers, that's okay. You know what? Sometimes our brain doesn't work, but it makes it so that we can talk to all the energies that are floating around us, and that's good.
It's an old asylum.
Oh, I would be so down for that. I love it. Oh, that's exciting.
Where are you? And are you close enough? Because we need more people.
I'm in. Y'all, I be in Sioux Falls.
That's super close. Wisconsin.
I know. No. I'm in South Dakota.
South Dakota.
Oh my God. There's
you guys.
St. Croix Falls in my head, which is in Minnesota. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say. No, I knew what you were talking about though, because I used to live in Wisconsin, so I knew where you were going. Look at and that's the ADHD connectivity right there, y'all. We have that magical like psychic connection. We can like just get that stuff rolling. I love it. So good. And I do think, that is something really interesting. We could have a whole podcast conversation about that. Like the ADHD or the trauma or the just being it like someone who is sensitive and emotional like that does give you such that openness and ability to like really tune into those other energies and other entities. Go meet them. Let's go to, man. I have to chit chat. I tell you what, that's
to be able to see and hear and feel.
Yeah, she was just saying that earlier because, like, as you grow up, you're made to believe that it's wrong, and you just need to block that out, or being scared,
or you don't acknowledge it, and you start to. Maybe that is a thing that happens a lot more than people realize. Like the nursing home story, that you pass something that is paranormal or unusual, but that you're just so used to focus on what you're doing, you miss it, and because you're not used to like tuning into whatever the energies are, right? And most people aren't. They just are completely missing it. Like you could be interacting with it all the time and have no idea.
It's a different feeling. Like you can walk into a place and you can feel that there's people there.
It's funny because when we went to the last global ghost hunt, the Broadhead Manor, so I was super excited going there. But when we got there, right when we pulled up, I'm like, it's really cool, but I don't feel anything.
Yeah.
So we went inside, and he was telling us about it, and I'm like, that's really cool, but I still don't feel anything.
Like you knew it when you got there.
We finally felt something up in the
music
room. Then finally I started to feel some type of energy, but that's the only thing we got all the whole time.
That's
a little.
But I mean, so that's I think maybe just a little bit of a like, hey y'all, when you're looking for locations, if you go check it out first and you have that sense of like, I don't feel anything, you probably are correct. Like that's a little bit of like, trust that intuition and believe that intuition. And when you're scouting a location or checking out a place you want to go, if you say to yourself, I don't think so, you're probably right. If you go, just like when you go to a place that's super creepy and got heavy, big vibes, you're probably right. Like it's probably got stuff going on. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I have really enjoyed this conversation. You guys, we could talk forever. It sounds like you guys just have stories upon stories upon stories, and we need to have you we got to have you back again. You got to come hang out on some of my podcasts too. I need to hear more about all the wild weirds. I feel a little bit jealous that y'all have gotten to just experience wild things all throughout your life.
We've got a lot more stories.
He's like, we need to tell him about the soldiers, and I'm like, well, not other time.
Listen, guess what? We're gonna just need to do more and more podcasts. Brian John, we're just gonna need more podcast time, Brian John. Sorry. I guess we're just gonna have to start doing more Global Ghost Hunt podcasting. That the audience needs to hear more of these stories, and I need to hear more of these stories. But thank you so much, y'all, for joining us. Brandon and Kara of the Caught in the Veil. Again, such a fun name. I really like it. Caught in the Veil Paranormal. Do check them out. Check out globalghosthunt.com, y'all. You can still sign up. We've got October 17th to the 27th is the dates. Find yourself a location. Join the fun. Again, like we talked about, it's about the community. It's about getting out there. It's about experiencing new and different things and having a good time with new peeps and new friends. And don't be nervous. You'll love it.
And that's another good thing about when you find one that's dead, a place that doesn't have any activity. Make sure you have people around that you like.
Make sure you have people
around it's just fun to just goof off and have fun with all your friends.
There you go. Listen, everybody, just always have a cooler beer in the car, right? Just ready to go in case, right? And then it's just a party time. And guess what? Maybe you'll get more activity being party time friends. Maybe when you're loosey-goosey and feeling good, the spirits are like, oh, they're fun. Oh, let's go party with them. Rock on. I love it. But thank you, everyone, for joining us. Don't forget to go to globalghosthunt.com. Do check out healthempowersyou.net. If you want to support more content from us, you can support healthempowersyou.net, our sponsor, and get all their crazy cool recipes for the smoothies that you know I love. Brandon and Kara, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, everyone, for popping up in the comments. You know we love y'all. Stay spooky, friends.